Hello everybody, welcome to the second half of our pen turning series. Here is the spalted blank that we dyed purple. We also have a green one that we're going to do. Right now I'm just setting it to the bushings for the dragon pen that we're going to do. And sometimes when you square off the edges, it leaves a little bit of glue on the inside, and so I just take a file for a chainsaw, and I made a little handle for it, and then it just takes off a very little bit on the inside, and that kind of helps you put it in the bushings without too much force. I've actually cracked blanks forcing it in. Here I'm just using a round nose scraper. It's probably my favorite tool to use when turning a pen. I just keep a burr on it. It's really quick to sharpen, and leaves a really nice finish to it, and it goes really quickly. Right now I'm just trying to, you can pretty much do any profile you want, but I kind of maybe leave a little rise in the middle. I'm just kind of making sure that it's just a hair thicker on the bushing sides, so I can take it off with sanding. It just leaves you a little bit of play. And I'm just working through the grits. I like to use Abernat cloth, and I started at 180, and I'll go to generally maybe a 1000 with the type of finish that I'm using. So I just work up the grits, and that last one is 1000 foam sanding pad. And the finish I'm going to start with is Triple E. It's really nice, and you work it in there like sandpaper, and you just kind of work it back and forth, turn the speed up, and you can see how it starts getting a nice color. I put on about 3 coats, depending, 2 to 3. And then once it gets all worked in and I'm satisfied, I'll kind of clean it up and then swap to my finish, which is shallow wax. It doesn't have as much protection as CA finish does, but it does have some, but it leaves a really nice feel on your fingers. That's why I like to use it, but it definitely isn't as durable, but it's my preferred finish, and I think it leaves a better shine. But you just work up layers, so I have about maybe 5 or 6 layers on here. And what you do is you put just barely a little bit on the cloth, just enough to wet the surface, and then you crank it up to your max RPMs, and then put a lot of pressure and work it side to side, and it'll heat up, and then make it hard, so it's once you do it, it's dried, and then you can put on another coat. So I just I build them up, and it just looks great to me. There's also another polish out there that's Aussie oil, but it doesn't have that protective coating, but that's another one of my favorite wood turning finishes. You don't need very much of it at all. There we go. I usually take a towel just in case I have something on my fingers and it'll stick to the blank, so I kind of take it off, and it is still warm. So here's the green pen. This is what I was talking about. It's a little off camera, but I just kind of hold the file parallel to the wall and just try to take off any burr or a little bit of glob of CA glue, and then I do a little test fit, and if it's too tight I'll still take some more off. And remember, when you put these together, make sure you look at the diagram, that you can see it underneath the blank there, to make sure that I have the bushings in the correct order and the size blank between the correct bushings, or else when you put it together you'll notice that you've made a mistake. And sometimes you can fix them and sometimes you can't. But here I am with the round nose scraper again, and it goes by quick when you're using this. I kind of start on the edges and get the kind of rounded profile that I want, then I just work it back and forth, and you can probably get this done in probably a minute. Longest part is probably the sanding, but I'd urge you guys to try using the scraper. It's really nice, and to me it's a lot, you know, you're not going to really get a catch or anything and ruin the blank, because you know you got one shot and you don't want to mess it up. These blanks, by the way, I made them, so it adds another factor to the pen. You know, I turned it and I actually made the blank, and I'll have a video about doing that hopefully soon. Here I'm just working through the grits again. The last one is 600 Abernat, and then I'll move to the foam, which is 1,000, and you can see how it's gonna nice look already. And here's the triple E paste, and then I just work it on there by hand without it on. Sometimes I'll have it on, but usually with triple E I'll leave the lathe off and put it on manually by rotating it by hand and then scrubbing it on there. Proceeding with our shallow wax. And when a little goes a long way, I mean it. That bottle has lasted forever, and I think it's only the second bottle I've bought, and it really does go a long way. And it's really nice when you're turning it, it'll look dull, and all of a sudden when that reaction happens, boom, pops. Well, let's assemble these guys. It was kind of Game of Thrones season, so I figured the Dragon Twist pen was quite appropriate, and it's a really nice pen kit. So when you're putting these together, this is a pen press. You can do it in a vise. I did for a while, but follow the instructions when you're putting together in the order. With this particular one, when we're putting that the waste on there, it tells you to get a piece of scrap wood, drill a hole a certain diameter so you don't crack the threads. And I have cracked the threads on that, thinking that I could just press it against a piece of wood in between. Listen to the instructions and drill a hole, because I just shattered it and I ruined a $20 pen kit. So it just fits in there. And right now I'm doing the top part where the lapel piece will be. I'm just making sure that's flush. Then I kind of set it offset to push it in that last way. There, a little test fit. There's one down. I did a antique copper and a pewter kit, and you can see I'm following the same order that I did before. And you gotta, when you're putting these together, it could be offset just a little bit, so I kind of look and you get the feel of what you have to do to make sure it goes in straight, but just don't force it in. Here's a little piece of wood that I cut again and place it in there. And all that does is save the threads and stops you from crushing them. That's me kind of indicating how thin the threads are. But you drop in the spring, and then we'll drop in the refill, and then we tie on the twist mechanism, or screw on the twist mechanism. And I test it there, because if there's anything wrong, you need to push it in more, or making any adjustments, you can do it there. Here's the second half, the top part. And I really dry fit them to make sure they're just right. And it looks like it works well. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making the pens. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it in the comments section. please like and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, and we'll have more videos up shortly. Thank you guys, keep chipping away, and we'll see you on stream in the next video.